What if the person you tried to forget, the one who broke your heart, suddenly walked back into your life as the most important person to your child? Before we unravel this shocking twist of fate, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and tell us in the comments if you believe the past always catches up. Javier Vargas sped through the bustling streets of Madrid, one hand on the steering wheel, the other clutching his phone. Notifications buzzed relentlessly, but it was the clock that truly haunted him. 20 minutes late, again. Since Isabel, his late wife, died 3 years ago, balancing his demanding executive job with being a single father felt like a daily battle he rarely won. He screeched his luxury SUV to a halt, parking haphazardly on the asphalt of St. Jude's Academy, an exclusive private school. With his suit jacket unbuttoned and his tie slightly askew, Javier strode across the empty courtyard, muttering curses under his breath. St. Jude's was one of those elite institutions where parents simply didn't run late. Except him. "Sorry for the delay," he exclaimed, yanking open the door to classroom 3A. Traffic was impasse. The words caught in his throat, dying on his tongue. There, next to Anna, stood Elena, her chestnut hair now shorter, but with the same enormous, honey-colored eyes that had captivated him 12 years ago. Life, with its cruel sense of humor, had decided that the woman he'd once abandoned would be his daughter's teacher. "Good afternoon, Mr. Vargas," she said, her voice perfectly professional, though Javier noticed how her hands subtly tightened on Anna's shoulders. "Your daughter has been waiting for you." Elena took a few seconds to fully recognize him. Her face transitioned from polite cordiality to an expression that mixed surprise, confusion, and something Javier couldn't quite decipher. "Lucy?" he murmured, the old nickname slipping out instinctively, a ghost from their shared past. "Teacher Elena," she corrected firmly, a quick glance at Anna, who watched the scene with childlike curiosity. "Daddy, look at my drawings," Anna interrupted, oblivious to the sudden tension in the air. "Teacher says I have a lot of talent." She extended a handful of brightly colored papers toward him. Javier could barely nod, his mind racing, struggling to process the impossible reality unfolding before him. He tried to formulate a coherent sentence as his daughter gathered her pink backpack. What a surprise to see you here," he finally managed. "Same here," Elena responded with a tight smile. "I didn't know you had a daughter." The comment, though seemingly innocent, landed like a heavy stone in Javier's stomach. Of course, she didn't know. He'd vanished without explanation when his father threatened to disinherit him if he continued with that neighborhood teacher, as he used to call her. "Anna, darling, could you wait outside for a moment while I speak with your father?" Elena asked sweetly. The girl nodded, skipping out into the hallway. Alone in the classroom, surrounded by colorful children's artwork, the air between them grew thick, heavy with unspoken history. "So you got married," she observed, crossing her arms, her gaze unwavering. "Yes, but—" He trailed off, caught in the sudden intimacy of the moment. A flicker of genuine compassion crossed Elena's face, softening the guarded look in her eyes. "I'm so sorry, Ricardo." "Elena, Not now, Javier," she interrupted, raising a hand, creating an invisible barrier between them. "This isn't the time or place. I am your daughter's teacher, and that's all we should be to each other." Javier nodded, respecting the boundary she so clearly established. "Of course, you're right. Anna is a wonderful girl," Elena added sincerely. "Very intelligent and sensitive. She takes after her mother," Javier responded automatically, feeling a sharp pang of guilt as he saw a brief flash of pain in Elena's eyes. "Well, see you tomorrow, Mr. Vargas. Please try to be punctual. It affects children when they have to wait alone." The professional tone had returned, solid and unyielding. Javier took Elena's extended hand in a formal handshake that felt utterly inadequate for two people who had once planned a life together. He left the classroom feeling like his world had been irrevocably tilted. For Anna, who waited in the hallway humming a tune, it was just another day at school. For Javier, it was as if the past had returned, ready to collect its long overdue debts. Luciana maintained her composure until the last child skipped out of the classroom. She closed the door, leaned against it, and let out a long, shuddering sigh. Her hands trembled slightly as she began gathering the day's materials, her mind a whirlwind of memories. 12 years. 12 years since Ricardo Valdez disappeared from her life without a word, without a call, without anything. Are you okay? You look pale. Laura, the teacher from the adjoining classroom, asked, poking her head through the doorway. Yes, just a heavy day, Elena lied, pretending to sort some papers, trying to compose herself. That night, in her small apartment, Elena couldn't sleep. The memories returned like relentless waves. Javier kissing her under the rain, promising to face his family, swearing eternal love. And then, the chilling silence, the unanswered calls, the cold, impersonal text. I'm sorry. I can't continue with this. She never imagined seeing him again, much less as the father of one of her students. What profound impact do you think Javier's sudden reappearance will have on Elena's carefully constructed life? And do you believe he deserves a chance to explain? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this compelling story has you eager for answers, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next chapter. The next day, Javier arrived at St. Jude's Academy precisely on time. Elena observed him from the classroom window as he said goodbye to Anna with a kiss on the forehead. He looked different now. Premature gray hairs at his temples, deep circles under his eyes, a somberness that hadn't been there before. Despite everything, he was still handsome, with that air of confidence that had always characterized him. For 3 days, they maintained a careful distance. Formal greetings, polite, strained smiles. Until Thursday, Javier waited until all the other parents had left. Elena, we need to talk, he said, standing in the classroom doorway. Please, she wanted to refuse, to maintain her carefully constructed emotional barriers, but the desperate plea in his eyes disarmed her. Half an hour at the cafe on the corner, she responded dryly, choosing a neutral, public space. Elena arrived 10 minutes late on purpose, finding Javier already seated at a small table with 2 coffees. I ordered yours with milk and no sugar, just how you used to like it, he said, his voice soft, almost nostalgic as she sat down. I drink it black now, Elena replied, but she took a sip anyway, the familiar taste a punch to her gut. The uncomfortable silence stretched between them until she finally voiced the question that had tormented her for years, the weight of it pressing down on her. Why, Javier? Why did you just disappear like that? Do you know what it feels like for someone you love to simply vanish? Javier lowered his gaze to his cup, as if searching for answers in the dark liquid. My father threatened me, he began, his voice low, filled with a deep regret. He said if I continued with you, he'd take everything away. Not just my money or my position in the company, but he'd destroy your career too. He had contacts in the Ministry of Education. Javi, she cut him off sharply, her voice raw, feeling that the old nickname was a privilege he no longer deserved. Sorry? Javier ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of frustration. I was young, immature, and a coward. I believed I was protecting you by pushing you away like that. Then I met Isabel on a business trip. We married quickly, and, well, you know the rest. Elena stared at him, incredulous. Do you honestly believe that's a justification? You know what the worst part is? That you're still trying to excuse yourself. A real man would have fought Javier. Or at least he would have faced me. The word struck Javier like a physical blow. It was true. All his explanations sounded hollow even to himself. You're right, he admitted finally, his voice barely a whisper. There's no excuse. What I did was unforgivable. Elena felt her eyes welling up and blinked rapidly to fight back the tears. Your daughter is wonderful, she said, deliberately changing the subject, her voice softening. She's sweet, intelligent, and has an enormous heart. You must be proud. I am. She's the only good thing I've done in my life. Javier hesitated for a moment, then asked, his voice hesitant. And you? Did you marry? Do Do you have children? Elena shook her head. I never married. I dedicated my life to teaching. These children are like my own. What she didn't tell him was that, after him, she had built a towering wall around her heart. That she'd had a few relationships, but never truly let anyone get too close. That Javier's abandonment had marked her deeply, leaving a scar that refused to fade. Elena, I know I have no right, but could we at least try to be friends? For Anna. She talks about you all the time. Don't use your daughter as an excuse, Javier. Elena finished her coffee, her resolve firm. Let's keep this professional. I am Anna's teacher. You are her father. That's all we need to be. She stood to leave, but Javier gently stopped her, taking her wrist. I looked for you, you know? 2 years later, when I realized the mistake I had made. But you had already moved, changed schools. Nobody knew where you were. Elena let out a bitter laugh. How convenient, Javier. Very convenient. She left the cafe with her head held high, but her heart was racing, a tempest of old pain and new anger. Javier watched her walk away, acutely aware that the damage he had caused was far deeper than he had ever imagined. And for the first time in years, he felt the full, crushing weight of his past decisions. Do you believe Elena is right to maintain her distance? Or should she give Javier a chance to prove himself? What do you think about Javier's attempt to reconcile? Share your raw thoughts in the comments below. If this emotional roller coaster has you gripped, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next part of their dramatic story. October arrived, bringing a crisp breeze to St. Jude's Academy. 3 weeks had passed since the intense reunion, and Elena had managed to establish a routine. When Javier appeared, she focused intently on Anna, keeping their conversations brief and professional. But the girl, with that uncanny intuition only children possess, had noticed something special. Teacher, did you know my daddy from before? Anna asked one afternoon, her small hands busy with paint, her eyes fixed on Elena. Elena nearly spilled the paint. Why do you ask, Corazon? Because my daddy smiles differently when he talks to you, Anna explained simply. Like in the old photos when my mommy was alive. That innocent observation haunted Elena all day. She didn't want to get involved, to let the past intertwine with her present. But something in the relationship between Javier and Anna tugged at her heartstrings. The child clearly needed a mother figure, and Javier, he remained a complex mystery to her. The phone rang at 11 on Wednesday morning. It was the school office. Miss Elena? Ana Vargas has a very high fever. We haven't been able to reach her father. Elena's mind raced. Have you tried his emergency contact? You're the secondary contact. Mr. Vargas added you last week. Elena was surprised, a jolt going through her, but she had no time to analyze it. I'm on my way. Take her to the infirmary and put cold compresses on her. When she arrived, she found Anna lying on a cot, cheeks flushed, breathing shallow. Upon seeing Elena, the girl stretched out her arms. I want my daddy. And you, teacher, she whispered weakly, her eyes fluttering. I'm here, little one. Your daddy will be here soon. The nurse confirmed Anna's temperature was 39.5 degrees Celsius, 103.1 degrees Fahrenheit. They needed to take her to the hospital. Elena didn't hesitate. She gently lifted the small girl into her arms and carried her to her car. At the pediatric hospital, as they waited for test results, Javier burst in, tie loose, panic etched across his face. Anna, my God, he exclaimed, kneeling beside the gurney where his daughter dozed fitfully. I'm so sorry. My phone was dead. I was in an important meeting and she has acute tonsillitis, Elena informed him softly, her voice calm amidst his distress. They're giving her antibiotics. Her fever is already coming down. Javier looked up at her, his eyes wide with relief and a raw vulnerability. Without thinking, he reached for her hand and squeezed it tightly. Thank you, he said, his voice thick with emotion. I don't know what would have happened if you don't have to thank me. She's my student. But both of them knew it went far beyond that. What do you think is the true depth of the bond forming between Elena and Anna? And can a shared crisis truly mend old wounds? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this emotional journey is resonating with you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more heartbreaking and heartwarming moments. That night, Ana had to stay for observation. Javier insisted Elena go home and rest, but she refused to leave. "I can't leave you both alone," she said simply. They sat in the small waiting room, nursing cold coffee in plastic cups. The silence between them was no longer awkward, but a shared space of quiet concern. At some point, Javier spoke, his voice heavy with self-reproach. "I'm a mess as a father, aren't I?" "Don't say that. You're doing the best you can." Elena observed his tired profile, a flicker of compassion in her eyes. "Since Isabel died, everything's been harder. You're trying to be both mother and father, but sometimes it feels like you're failing at both. Ana adores you. That's what matters." A doctor interrupted them to inform them that the fever had broken. They could take her home early tomorrow morning. The relief that washed over Javier was immense, and it united them in a spontaneous, brief embrace. They quickly separated, but something fundamental had shifted between them in that shared moment of vulnerability and relief. Later, when she returned to her apartment, Elena pulled an old box from the back of her closet. Inside lay the positive pregnancy test from 12 years ago, alongside a tiny, blurry sonogram image. She caressed the faded picture with trembling fingers. She had never told Javier that, weeks after his sudden abandonment, she discovered she was pregnant. He never knew that she lost that baby in the solitude of her bathroom, bleeding and crying for a future that had vanished before it even began. Those were the worst days of her life. And now, life had placed her face to face with the daughter Javier had with another woman. A sweet, innocent child who, inexplicably, had already won her heart. The morning after Anna's hospital scare, Javier waited at the hospital reception. "I need to ask you something," he said, his voice serious. "Ana asks about you. Could you come to our house?" He quickly added, "Just until she fully recovers." Elena should have said no. She should have maintained her carefully constructed barriers, protecting her heart from the very man who'd once shattered it. But the image of a vulnerable Ana, reaching for her, whispering her name, was too powerful to resist. "Only until she's better," Elena finally conceded, her resolve softening. Javier's house was sprawling and elegant, yet it carried an undeniable air of solitude, a lingering echo of the loss that had touched it. Photos of Isabel, Javier's beautiful late wife, adorned some of the walls, a woman with blonde hair and a gentle smile. In Anna's room, filled with plush toys and colorful books, the girl's face lit up with pure joy upon seeing Elena. "You came," Ana exclaimed, hugging her tightly. "I knew you would." As Elena read a bedtime story to Anna, her voice soft and soothing, she noticed Javier watching them from the doorway. His gaze held something indecipherable: gratitude, nostalgia, and something more she didn't dare name, a fragile possibility that stirred in the quiet space between them. For the first time in years, Elena felt that the wounds of the past, though still present, were beginning to scar over. Not for Javier, but for that small, innocent girl who hugged her as if she were the most precious thing in the world. "You look like my mama," Ana murmured, touching Elena's hair. "Daddy says you're good like her." Those simple words from a child's lips stayed with Elena long after she left that house. The past was returning, but in a different form. And this time there was an innocent mediator, a small bridge changing everything. Do you think Elena is risking her heart by stepping into Javier's family life? What would you do in her shoes? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this evolving story touches your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel to follow their journey. October turned into November, and the relationship between Elena and the Vargas family subtly transformed. After the hospital episode, Ana developed a special attachment to her teacher. Each morning, upon arriving at the classroom, she would run to embrace Elena with an intensity that surprised the other children. "Today I brought 2 sandwiches, one for you," the little girl would declare, pulling a foil-wrapped sandwich from her lunchbox. "Daddy and I made them together," Javier, for his part, had altered his routine. He no longer sent the nanny or the driver to pick up Anna. Now he arrived himself, punctual and less rushed. His greetings with Elena, once tense and brief, gradually lengthened. "Anna won't stop talking about you," he commented one afternoon while waiting for his daughter to pack her things. "Yesterday she said she wants to be a teacher, just like teacher Elena." Elena smiled, feeling a mix of pride and a lingering nostalgia. "She's a very special girl. You're lucky to have her." "I know. Sometimes I think she looks more like Isabel every day." But Javier hesitated for a moment. "There are gestures, ways of looking, that remind me of someone else." Their eyes met briefly, and both knew exactly who he meant. The opportunity for them to grow closer arrived with the school excursion to the interactive museum. As there were always too few parent volunteers, Javier didn't hesitate to offer his help. On the day of the excursion, 20 excited children boarded the school bus. Javier sat with another parent while Elena organized the excited little ones. During the museum tour, the children formed small groups. Inevitably, Elena and Javier ended up together, guiding Anna and 4 other children through the planet exhibition. "Look, Daddy, we're floating in space," Anna shouted from a virtual reality platform, her voice echoing with delight. Javier instinctively pulled out his phone to photograph her, but Elena gently stopped him. "Enjoy the moment," she suggested, her hand lightly touching his. "The photos can wait." Something in that gesture, in that invitation to live in the present, resonated deeply within Javier. He put his phone away and joined the children in the exhibition, playing with an uninhibited joy he hadn't felt in years. In the giant bubble section, one of the children accidentally soaked Javier, splashing water onto his expensive shirt. Instead of getting annoyed, Javier laughed heartily and splashed the little one back, initiating a playful water war that ended with everyone soaked and laughing. "I've never seen your daddy laugh like that," one of the children commented to Anna. "It's because he's happy," the girl responded with simple honesty. "My daddy is happier when teacher Elena is near." Elena, who overheard the innocent remark, felt an inexplicable warmth spread through her chest. She looked at Javier, his shirt soaked and his hair disheveled, so different from the serious executive she knew, and couldn't help but smile. During lunch in the museum cafeteria, Javier sat across from Elena while the children ate at another table. "Thank you," he said suddenly, his voice soft. "For what?" "For reminding me how to have fun. Since Isabel died, I had focused so much on work and responsibility that I forgot how to play with my own daughter. Anna needs that more than any luxury, Javier. I know now." His gaze became more intense, holding hers. "There are many things I'm starting to understand." Returning to the bus, the children were exhausted. Anna fell asleep immediately, her head resting on her father's shoulder. Javier and Elena found themselves seated together in the back, the only 2 adults remaining. The bus moved through the city as dusk settled, golden light filtering through the windows, creating an intimate atmosphere. They spoke in whispers so as not to wake the sleeping children. "Do you remember that time we got lost on the way to that small coastal town in Portugal?" Javier asked, a hint of nostalgia in his voice. "How could I forget?" Elena responded, a small smile playing on her lips. "We ended up in a village where no one spoke Spanish, only Portuguese. And you managed to communicate with gestures. You were always better than me at connecting with people." The conversation flowed naturally, recalling moments from their past without the bitterness that had once defined their interactions. When the bus hit a pothole, Elena leaned involuntarily towards Javier. Their hands brushed, neither pulled away. Upon arriving back at the school, as the other parents collected their sleepy children, Javier and Elena lingered for a moment longer in the empty bus. Without planning it, without expecting it, their lips met in a soft, almost timid kiss. It was Elena who pulled away first, surprised by the intensity of what she felt, a jolt that sent a tremor through her. "This is a mistake," she murmured, rising hastily. "I have to go." "Elena, wait." Javier tried to stop her, but she was already descending the bus steps. I can't do this, Javier. Not now, not like this. She walked away quickly towards her car, leaving Javier with Anna asleep in his arms and an expression of profound confusion. It wasn't rejection he had seen in Elena's eyes, but fear, the very same fear he felt at the possibility of feeling something so strong again. Do you believe this kiss could change everything between them? What fears do you think Elena is carrying? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this emotional roller coaster has you on the edge of your seat, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next part of their dramatic story. That night, as Javier tucked Anna into bed, the girl opened her eyes briefly. Daddy, she whispered, will teacher Elena always be with us? Javier kissed her forehead. I don't know, mi amor, but I promise you, this time, if I have a chance, I won't waste it. For the next 2 weeks, Elena meticulously avoided being alone with Javier at school. When he arrived to pick up Anna, she made sure she was always busy with other children or parents, ensuring she had no moment of privacy with him. The kiss on the bus had stirred up feelings she believed were long buried, and she desperately needed time to sort through her tumultuous thoughts. One rainy afternoon, as she corrected papers in her small apartment, the doorbell rang. Upon opening it, she found Javier standing there, completely soaked, without an umbrella, a determined expression on his face. How did you know where I live? She asked, startled. I asked the principal. I told her it was an urgent matter concerning Anna. He confessed, running a hand through his dripping wet hair. We need to talk, Elena, and this time, I'm not leaving until you listen to me. Reluctantly, she let him in. Elena's small apartment was a reflection of her life, filled with books, vibrant plants, and photographs of her students over the years. Javier observed everything with attention, as if wanting to memorize every detail. Where's Anna? She asked, offering him a towel. With my mother. She has ballet class on Thursdays. Elena served 2 cups of tea, and they sat on the small sofa in her living room. The silence stretched between them until Javier finally spoke, his voice direct, unwavering. I'm falling in love with you again, he said, his eyes fixed on hers. Or perhaps I never stopped. What I feel now is different, stronger, more real than before. Elena clutched her teacup tightly. Javier, we can't just pick up where we left off. 12 years have passed. We are different people. I know. I don't want to go back to the past. I want to build something new, if you give me the chance. And Anna, Elena pressed, her brow furrowed. Have you thought about how confusing this could be for her? Javier leaned in slightly. Anna adores you. Yesterday, she asked me if you could come for dinner this weekend. She sees you as, he hesitated, searching for the right words, as someone special in her life. I can't replace her mother, Javier. Elena's voice was firm, yet vulnerable. No one is asking that. Isabel will always be her mother. But that doesn't mean there can't be space for you in our lives. Elena rose and walked towards the window. The rain beat hard against the glass, mirroring the storm raging inside her. I'm scared, she admitted finally. I'm afraid to trust you again, to open myself up and for you to leave again. Do you believe Javier has truly changed? Should Elena risk her heart again? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this raw, honest conversation has you captivated, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next part of their journey. Javier stood and approached her, stopping just short of touching her. I understand. I'm not asking you to trust me immediately. I'm asking you to give me the opportunity to prove to you that I've changed, that I'm no longer that cowardly boy who abandoned you. And if it doesn't work out, I work with your daughter, Javier. I don't want her to get hurt. We'll go slow, he promised, his voice soft, filled with a deep sincerity. As slow as you need. He looked at her with such earnestness that Elena felt her defenses slowly begin to crumble. It wasn't just the Javier of the past she saw, but the man who had matured through pain and loss. One step at a time, she finally conceded, her voice barely a whisper. I can have dinner with you this Saturday, but as friends for now, nothing more. Javier's smile illuminated the entire room, a beacon of hope in the rainy afternoon. On Saturday, Elena arrived at the Vargas house with a homemade dessert and a nervous flutter in her heart. Anna opened the door, her eyes wide with delight. "You came, Daddy. Teacher is here," the girl shouted, pulling Elena inside with eager hands. Javier appeared from the kitchen, wearing an apron and with a smudge of flour on his cheek. "We're making pizza," he explained, a little embarrassed, gesturing to the dough on the counter. "Thought it would be fun to cook together." The domestic scene caught Elena by surprise. This Javier, playfully making pizza with his daughter, was a world away from the perfect, controlled executive she'd known before. The evening unfolded with a natural ease. They made pizzas with comical, misshapen forms, played board games, and Anna insisted on showing Elena her entire collection of books. At 9 o'clock, the little girl began to yawn. "Can you read me a story, teacher?" she asked, her eyes heavy with sleep. As Elena read The Little Prince in a soft, soothing voice, Javier watched them from the doorway. There was something so perfect in that image, a tender domesticity he hadn't realized he longed for, that he felt a lump form in his throat. When Anna finally drifted off to sleep, they both slipped silently from the room. In the living room, Javier poured 2 glasses of wine. "Thank you for tonight," he said, handing her a glass. "I haven't seen Anna this happy in a long time." "She's a wonderful child, Javier," Elena replied, her gaze softening. "You're doing a good job with her." "I'm trying to change, Elena," he admitted, his voice quiet, vulnerable. "Not just for you or Anna, but for myself. After Isabel died, I buried myself in work, trying to escape the pain. Anna was left with nannies while I hid in the office," he confessed, his voice breaking slightly. "I realized I was repeating my father's mistakes, prioritizing money and status over what truly matters." Elena watched him, seeing the raw honesty in his eyes. "Everyone makes mistakes, Javier. The important thing is to learn from them." "I don't want to lose you again," he said, gently taking her hand. "And not because I feel guilty about the past, but because what I feel now is real, more real than ever." This time, when he leaned closer, Elena didn't pull away. The kiss was soft, laden with promises and possibilities, a shared breath after years of holding back. When they finally parted, she rested her forehead against his. "One day at a time," she whispered, her voice a fragile promise. For Javier, it was more than enough, because this time he understood the true value of what stood before him, and he was determined to do whatever it took not to lose it again. What do you think of Javier's honesty and Elena's cautious hope? Do you believe in second chances, even after deep hurts? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story of vulnerability and rebuilding is touching your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next part of their journey. December arrived, bringing with it the twinkling magic of Christmas lights and a new, comforting routine for the 3 of them. Elena began having dinner with Javier and Anna on weekends, accompanying them on Sunday strolls in the park, and little by little, her belongings started to appear in Javier's elegant Madrid house. A toothbrush, a change of clothes, her favorite books neatly arranged on the bedside table. The school Christmas festival marked a decisive point. Anna was to play a star in the school play, and Javier had made sure he was in the front row, camera ready to capture every sparkling moment. "I'm okay, Daddy?" Anna asked, adjusting her shimmering silver costume backstage. "You're perfect, mi amor," Javier responded, helping her with a loose thread on her costume. "You'll be the brightest star." "Technically, she already is," Elena interjected with a smile, walking over to them. "Star is her role, remember?" The 3 of them laughed, sharing that small, intimate moment of complicity that had become so natural between them. Javier couldn't help but notice how other mothers looked at them, probably wondering about the relationship between the teacher and him. He didn't care. For the first time in his life, he truly didn't care what others thought. That night, after tucking Anna into bed, Javier invited Elena to the terrace. He had prepared the space with twinkling fairy lights, a soft blanket, and 2 glasses of wine. "What is all this?" she asked, surprised by the thoughtful gesture. I wanted to create a special moment, just for us, he said, pulling her close. They sat together, gazing at the stars in the clear December sky. The city lights glittered in the distance, but on that terrace, they seemed to be in their own private world. Lucy, there's something I need to tell you, Javier began, taking her hand, his voice thick with emotion. Something I should have told you a long time ago. She looked at him expectantly, sensing this moment would mark a profound shift. I never stopped loving you, he confessed, his voice clear and raw. Even when I was with Isabel, there was a part of my heart that remained yours. I felt guilty about it. I tried to deny it, but it was the truth. Elena felt the weight of his words, the brutal honesty they contained. I wasn't brave enough to fight for us then, he continued. I chose the easy path, the one my father had laid out for me. And although I don't regret having Anna, I regret every day that I hurt you. The night grew more intimate as they shared truths kept hidden for years. Elena, finally, found the courage to reveal her deepest secret. I was pregnant, Javier, she said in a low voice barely audible. When you left, I was a month pregnant. I didn't know when you left. I found out later. Javier paled, feeling as though the ground beneath him had vanished. What? We had a child? He asked, his voice choked with disbelief and raw pain. No. Elena closed her eyes, reliving the agony. I lost him a few weeks later. A miscarriage. I was alone in my apartment. I never told anyone. Javier pulled her into a fierce embrace, as if to absorb all the pain she had endured alone. Forgive me, Elena. Please, forgive me. He whispered against her hair, tears streaming down his face. If I had known, if I had been there. We can't change the past, she responded, pulling back slightly to look him in the eyes, her own filled with a shared sorrow and a fragile hope. But perhaps we can build a different future. In that moment, their lips met in a kiss that held 12 years of absence, of pain transformed into a profound, aching hope. It wasn't a kiss of wild passion, but of recognition, of two souls finally finding their way back to each other. What do you think is the true meaning of forgiveness in a relationship like theirs? Does this revelation change everything? Share your raw thoughts in the comments below. If this incredibly emotional turning point has touched your soul, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the final chapter of their extraordinary journey. Later that night, as they lay together in Javier's bed, with the moonlight filtering through the window, they talked of possibilities, of second chances, of the family they could finally be. Anna adores you, Javier said, gently stroking Elena's arm. I think, in some way, she's been bringing us together from the beginning. She's an extraordinary child, Elena responded. So sensitive, so intuitive. Sometimes I think she understands what's happening better than we do. The next morning, they awoke to the sound of small footsteps approaching the bedroom. Anna ran in and stopped short, seeing Elena beside her father. Teacher Elena, she exclaimed with joy. Did you have a sleepover with us? Elena and Javier exchanged panicked glances for a fleeting moment, but the natural way Anna accepted the situation immediately calmed them. For her, there was nothing strange about her favorite teacher being with her dad. Can we have pancakes? The girl asked, climbing onto the bed and sitting between them. Of course, princess, Javier responded, kissing her forehead. As they prepared breakfast together, Anna watched the adults with keen interest. During breakfast, she surprised them both with a question. Is teacher Elena going to live with us now? Javier nearly choked on his coffee. Elena intervened calmly. Anna, your daddy and I are just getting to know each other again. These things take time. But you love him, right? Anna persisted, her gaze unwavering. And daddy loves you. I see it in his eyes. The child's intuition left them speechless. After breakfast, while Anna drew in the living room, the girl called Elena over. I made something for you, she said, handing her a sheet of paper. It was a drawing of 3 figures holding hands. A tall man, a woman with chestnut hair, and a small girl between them. Above, Written in childish script were the words, "Mi familia." Next to the drawing, she had glued a small note. "Now I don't miss Mama all the time. I have you all." Elena felt tears stream down her face, uncontrolled. Javier approached, and seeing the drawing, he embraced both of them, holding them tight. In that moment, any lingering doubt dissipated. There were no guarantees that everything would work perfectly, but there was enough love between the three of them to try. The past was no longer a barrier but a part of the story that had led them right here.
Tuyệt vời! Đây là phần cuối cùng của câu chuyện, mang đến một cái kết đầy ý nghĩa và cảm xúc theo đúng những yêu cầu bạn đã đưa ra.
Part 9. A Symphony of Love and Second Chances. Spring arrived, bringing with it new beginnings. Elena had decided to continue at St. Jude's Academy, despite the inevitable whispers among parents and teachers. The principal, a wonderfully understanding woman, had supported her. "Your personal life is yours," she told Elena, "as long as you maintain professionalism in the classroom." And so Elena did. During school hours, Anna was simply another student. Displays of affection and personal conversations were reserved for after, when they crossed the exit gate together and transformed back into family. Javier had changed profoundly in these months. He delegated responsibilities at his company, establishing a schedule that allowed him to be truly present for Anna, and he learned to manage his perfectionism, trading rigid control for genuine connection. He was no longer the executive obsessed with power. He was a man who found joy in the small, messy moments. Chaotic breakfasts, lazy Sunday movie marathons, impromptu visits to the park. "You know," he commented one evening while they were having dinner, "my father called me yesterday. He wants to meet Anna. After 7 years, he finally wants to meet his granddaughter." Elena looked at him with surprise. Don Eduardo Vargas, Javier's father, was the main reason for their separation all those years ago. A powerful, manipulative man who had never accepted their relationship. "What did you tell him?" Elena asked, her voice cautious. "That first, he'll have to accept you," Javier replied with firmness, his gaze unwavering. "I told him we're a family now, and I won't allow anyone, not even him, to disrespect us." Elena felt a wave of pride and love. This Javier, capable of facing his intimidating father, was the man she had always known he could be. He was speechless, Javier continued with a small smile. "I don't think anyone's ever given him conditions before, but then he said he'd think about it. There's progress, I suppose." The process wasn't perfect. There were difficult days, like when Anna, in a tantrum, screamed that she wanted her real mama and not a replacement mama, or when Javier, stressed by company problems, briefly reverted to his old habits of emotional distancing. But each obstacle taught them to communicate better, to forgive, to grow together. Elena learned to carve out her own space in a house filled with memories of another woman. Javier learned to talk about his fears instead of hiding them. And Anna, with the astonishing resilience of children, adapted her heart to this new family configuration, embracing it with love. One Sunday afternoon, while Anna played with other children in the park, Javier and Elena watched from a nearby bench. "Do you remember when we first met?" he asked, intertwining his fingers with hers. "At that charity gala where you were working." "Of course I remember," she replied, laughing. "You spilled punch on my white dress, and then you offered me your jacket to cover it. It was a disaster. And yet you agreed to go out with me. You always had that charm, Vargas. Impossible to resist." They looked at each other, recognizing how much they had changed and yet how much of their essential selves remained the same. The love between them was different now, more mature, more conscious, without the naivete of youth, but with a depth that only shared scars and true understanding can give. "Lucy," Javier cleared his throat, suddenly nervous. "There's something I want to ask you." She looked at him with curiosity. "These past months together have been the happiest since we were together before. And I know it's soon, that we're barely rebuilding our relationship. But," from his pocket, he pulled out a small blue velvet box. "It's not an engagement ring," he clarified quickly, seeing the surprise in Elena's eyes. I know we're not ready for that yet. It's a promise. Inside the box lay a delicate silver ring with a small sapphire, the exact color of the dress Elena wore when they first met. It's a promise that this time, I will fight for us every single day, that I will never leave again, that we will build together what we couldn't before. Elena took the ring, emotional but thoughtful. Javier, I love you. I think I never stopped, even when I tried to hate you, she confessed. But I need you to understand something. I'm not the same Elena from before. I'm no longer that young woman who put your needs above her own. I know, and that's what I admire most about you now, he responded, his voice earnest. I don't want you to go back to being that person. I want this Elena, strong, confident, who isn't afraid to tell me when I'm wrong. Anna interrupted them, running towards them with cheeks flushed from excitement. Daddy, Lucy, look what I can do, she exclaimed, showing them how she could hang upside down on the playground equipment. Both applauded her feats, sharing a knowing glance. The girl then noticed the ring on Elena's hand. What's that? Is it like a princess ring? It's a promise ring, Javier explained, pulling Elena closer. A promise that we'll always be a family. Anna considered it with childish seriousness. So, Lucy isn't just my teacher anymore? She asked, her gaze fixed on Elena. She's like my other mama. The question hung in the air, innocent yet profound. Elena knelt to be at the girl's height. Darling, your mama will always be your mama, and no one can replace her, she said softly. I will be whoever you want me to be in your life. I'm here to love you, care for you, and support you always. The girl nodded, processing the information with surprising maturity. Then you're like a mama friend, she decided finally. And I like that. She took Elena's hand and her father's, placing herself between them. Now everything is fine, right? She asked, looking from one to the other. Javier and Elena exchanged a deep look over the girl's head. It wasn't a perfect ending, but it was perfect for them. The love that hadn't found its place in their past now found its rightful home in the present. Yes, mi amor, Javier responded, squeezing the hands of the two people he loved most in the world. Now everything is fine. The morning began like all Monday mornings. Elena was the first to wake, accustomed to early risers after years of school routine. She slid silently out of bed, careful not to wake Javier, who was sleeping soundly after an exhausting family weekend. The clock read 5:45 a.m. when she entered the kitchen. She loved this moment of the day when the house was silent and she could prepare everything calmly. She took out ingredients for breakfast, humming softly. 3 years had passed since that unexpected reunion in classroom 3A. 3 years of building, day by day, the family they now were. The house no longer had that air of solitude Elena had first perceived. Now, it was filled with new photos, Anna's drawings on the refrigerator, and small touches that harmoniously blended past and present. As the coffee brewed, Elena looked out the window at the backyard. The swings Javier had installed last summer swayed gently in the morning breeze. Next to them, a small plastic table where Anna organized her tea parties with her dolls and occasionally with her grandfather, Don Eduardo. That had perhaps been the most surprising change of all. Don Eduardo Vargas, the formidable patriarch who had once separated Elena and Javier, now visited the house regularly. His first visit had been tense and formal. But all it took was Anna taking his hand and leading him to see her collection of magic stones, for something in the stern man to begin to soften. Over time, Don Eduardo had shown that, despite his mistakes, he was capable of change. There was never a formal apology to Elena, but there were small gestures. Asking about her work, respecting her decisions with Anna, and even last Christmas, a carefully chosen gift that showed he had paid attention to her tastes. Good morning. Javier's sleepy voice interrupted her thoughts. He appeared in the kitchen, hair tousled and eyes still heavy with sleep. You're up early, she commented, walking over to kiss him. The bed feels empty without you, he responded, embracing her by the waist. Elena was nervous for her first day. She had accepted the position of assistant director at St. Jude's Academy, a change that meant new challenges and responsibilities. A little, she admitted, but excited too, and relieved that I won't have to worry about maintaining professional distance with a certain father anymore. Javier smiled, remembering the early months of their renewed relationship when they both tried to be discreet at school. Are they awake yet? He asked, looking towards the hallway. Not yet, but they won't be long. As if summoned by name, Anna appeared in the kitchen, dragging her favorite teddy bear and rubbing her eyes. I'm hungry, she announced by way of greeting. At 11 years old, Anna had become a self-assured girl, with her father's determined character and a sensitivity that, according to Javier, she had inherited from both her biological mother and Elena's influence. Good morning to you too, sleepyhead. Elena responded with a smile, pouring milk into a glass. Pancakes or eggs? Pancakes, the girl exclaimed, suddenly wide awake. Javier began taking out plates while Elena prepared the batter. It was a well-rehearsed choreography, the result of hundreds of shared mornings. Is Clara still sleeping? Javier asked. Yes, but she was stirring, Anna replied, peeking down the hallway. I think she's coming. The sound of tiny footsteps announced the arrival of the youngest member of the house. Clara Vargas, with her newly turned 2 years old, appeared at the kitchen entrance, in her pink pajamas and her dark hair a joyful mess. She was the spitting image of Elena, except for her dark eyes, identical to Javier's. Mama! The little one exclaimed, running towards Elena with outstretched arms. Good morning, mi amor, Elena responded, lifting her up and showering her sleepy face with kisses. Clara had been an unexpected but wonderful surprise. When Elena discovered she was pregnant just a year after moving in with Javier and Anna, the initial fear quickly transformed into pure joy. This time she wouldn't be alone. This time the father of her child would be by her side every step of the way. Javier observed the scene with a mix of pride and profound gratitude. His 3 women, as he affectionately called them, were his entire world. Anna, who had accepted Clara with instant love, and took her role as big sister very seriously. Clara, his little whirlwind, who had arrived to complete what was already perfect. And Elena, the woman who had given him a second chance despite everything. Daddy! The milk! Anna's shout pulled him from his thoughts. The milk was about to spill from the glass he was distractedly pouring. Oops! Sorry! He apologized, quickly wiping it up. Elena looked at him with a knowing smile. She recognized that dreamy expression that sometimes appeared on his face. What were you thinking about? She asked, as she placed Clara in her high chair. How lucky I am, he responded simply. As they ate breakfast, the kitchen filled with the usual morning chaos. Anna chattering about her science project, Clara trying to eat alone and creating a delightful mess, Javier checking the time to make sure they wouldn't be late on the first day of school. Elena watched them, feeling a completeness she never believed possible. The pain of the past hadn't completely disappeared, but it had transformed into something else. Into appreciation for what they had now, into courage to trust again, into the wisdom to value every single moment. When they finished breakfast, Javier collected the plates while Elena helped Clara get changed. On the kitchen counter remained 3 empty milk glasses and a coffee cup stamped with the phrase, "Family is where the heart rests." And it was true. After so long searching for their place, everyone's hearts had found where to rest. In each other. Did this story of love, forgiveness, and new beginnings touch your heart? It shows us that sometimes destiny gives us second chances when we least expect them. If this journey of reconciliation and a growing family resonated with you, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and share this video with someone special who also believes in second chances. Tell us in the comments what country you're watching our story from, and if you've ever experienced a reunion that changed your life. Subscribe to our channel for more stories that will make you believe in the power of true love and that it's never too late to correct the mistakes of the past.